Rhodopis is the real Cinderella, but Disney's not allowed to cover this story. It's one of the most horrific things that I've ever seen. I'll save you time. I did the research. Stop! Long before glass slippers, there was Rhodopis, a real Greek girl that was kidnapped. Then after that, she was sold. So then around 6th century BC, she ended up in Egypt. She wasn't a stepdaughter. She wasn't property. She actually worked in a rich Egyptian household. Then the bullying came. Because her being foreign wasn't right with them. Insert Herodotus. What he discovered, maybe through a series of unfortunate events, or you can call it luck. Herodotus witnessed an eagle swoop down, but then snatched her sandal. It then lifted off, flew, was above the pharaoh through sheer luck. It then proceeded to land in the pharaoh's lap. Then the pharaoh perceived it as a sign from God. No one could have ever predicted what the pharaoh did next. Took her, elevated her. Wait, sound familiar? Lost shoe, king chooses girl. Let's be frank here. The original one wasn't cute. This next part's gonna hurt a lot of you. She now finds herself in a selection process, meaning you are picked.
Your body will be employed as my obedient servant.
You're traded, they completely discard you. Which leads us to the shoes or romantic, more like a tag of possession. This story travels to China and makes it to Europe. And every single version that we get, newer and newer, makes it nicer and nicer. And everybody can be. It's about slavery, power imbalance, and a tad bit haram. Stop. Snow White was a real person. Real story? Disney would get canceled for ever putting any of this in a movie. Makes sense why you got the fake story. In 1500s Germany, Margarita von Waldeck. Now she grew up rich because her family's copper mines. Same mine that used miners, little kids, in tight poisonous tunnels. Stunted from malnutrition. Here's where it gets interesting, because the locals started to talk. What they stated, that they noticed small miners, that they were living together, similar to the dwarfs. Margarita sent to Brussels. That's when unexpectedly she caught the attention. Future King Philip II. Now we witness the downfall, because as soon as she meets Philip, her life starts to crash down. Wasn't even the age of 21 yet. She fell ill, no recovery, dead. This is where Disney tied in everything. Original stories mentioned arsenic poisoned apples used to get rid of people. They needed her out of the way, because what she was about to do, uncover their whole scandal with the miners. Either get rid of your daughter or allow her to ruin everything. They didn't take the chance. Maybe it wasn't jealousy over beauty. Maybe it was, if you don't kill the girl, then the entire operation must shut down. Real Sleeping Beauty. But because she had twins and she didn't know she was pregnant. I can see why Disney didn't cover this. Because their entire organization would be shut down. So I'm not supposed to tell you this. I'll explain. It starts in 1634 in Italy. The story of Sun, Moon, Tali. And it goes like this. A piece of stalk in the flags, getting under her fingernail. She fell dead upon the ground, meaning that she fell into a dead-like sleep. Originally her dad's there. Caesar gets knocked out, then leaves. This is where things get cruel. Because her father ends up just leaving her there, unconscious. Enter the Wandering King. Finds her and then can't wake her up, where she had no defense for herself. King took it to the extreme, did it, left. While she's unconscious though, she gives birth to twins, eventually waking up a mother, but it gets darker. Because the king's wife's confused, because she discovered what happened, and in pursuit of that, tried to kill Talia and her kids as payback, which at that point, tried to turn to the church and court, but didn't help her, because that's what happens when you're royalty. And later, the writers removed the assault, and then decide to go a different path. They add true love at first kiss. Having twins is tough. The story's unfortunate, but it was never that love conquers all. It was a powerful man exploiting a smaller, helpless girl. Little Mermaid is really about drowning witches. Now I can see why Disney couldn't cover this story and why no one else is. It's unsettling. 99% of you won't be able to stomach it, but if you can, I'll explain. During the Nordic ruling, it was rough for a lot of people that weren't Nordic. For instance, that women that were accused of being a witch were forced to go through what is called water testing. Now here's the twist. You sink, you're innocent. You float, you're guilty. Then instead of them having you drown again, they just burn you. Then slowly the story started to change, because now the women that sunk and then died, it said they come back as sea spirits, creating pain for a chance to get a soul back. Anderson keeps that. She saves a prince, wants to be human, makes a deal with the sea witch. She gives up her voice, her legs, hurt like knives. However, you guys all know the story. If he does fall in love with her, it's a soul. If not, she dissolves. That's a curse with a timer. Other coastal tales say that these sea women lured sailors underwater, otherwise known as sirens. But Disney removes the horror, the blood, the mutilization, and all you're left with, follow your heart. So maybe the real tale wasn't be yourself. Maybe it was, what would you give up to stop being a condemned spirit? Beast! That Disney movie was real. Petrus Gonzalez was his actual name. Is the first documented Beast Boy. The experiment they conducted, hands down one of the most disrespectful, cruel, evil, and conniving things they've ever done. Their goal, can a beast be civilized? If he had kids, do his kids come out like him? Charles V was the person that initiated this project and research study shortly after he passes away. Enter in Catherine de Medici. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to hear next is gonna hurt. Catherine's goal, get Petrus a wife. So she paid literal top dollar and found the most attractive person she could, Catherine Raphaeline. Now the real and Disney story are aligned, but here are the missing details. If kids were to happen, what happens? It worked! What Catherine did with the kids, irredeemable. But they had a mix. They also had kids. They had kids, didn't have the extra hair. For the kids that did have extra hair, Catherine gives away the kids as a gift to all of her friends. Disney takes the story, flips it, polishes it, and makes it more of a lovey-dovey type of thing. Isolated monster, forced marriage, gradual affection. He had Ambroise syndrome, where you grow more hair than you're supposed to, in places you don't normally, which made him look like an animal. Europe, killing women legal. Witch hunt. We think of Salem. That's only 20 people. Europe ran a 200-year program, executed over 40,000, all the way up to 60,000 people. They framed it as a policy, a crusade, a cleansing. The real reason is far darker than that. Most of you won't be able to stomach it, but I'll explain. It starts in 1487. The book, Malleus Maleficarum, Hammer of Witches, even had the church backing them on this. Stated that women are more lustful, corruptible, torture is allowed, even dreams count as evidence. What's disturbing is courts used that for 2 decades and never changed the policy. Here's how easy the process was. Someone accuses you, you're then arrested, tortured until you confess, seize your properties, you're then burned, or they can take it to the absolute extreme, then you're sentenced to public.
I call this one fish out of water.
Here's how easy the targets were. Widows, midwives, healers, independent women, even women with land. Some areas accusing women of being a witch means that you actually take ownership of her property. Now brings the witch hunters, because now that's a booming business. So many killings occurred, it collapsed the economy, so they were forced to stop. No more midwives, no more healers, and your grandma's safe. And sure, you can call them witches. Was it being overcautious, or a bigger agenda at play? Oh my god, 40 million people wiped out, 11% of the world gone. I can see why no one else is talking about this video, because what was discovered proves that they haven't been telling you the truth. 99% of you won't be able to stomach this, but I'll tell you. We only had one rule: surrender and live, or resist and vanish. But what happened in Nishapur? Everyone, animals, vanquished. But it's not because of Genghis Khan, because the princess demanded revenge. Nishapur was bad. Baghdad in 2058, 2 million. Hear me out. The greatest loss of that was the library that they burned down. As bad as when they burned the library down in Greece. Bodies clogged rivers. Here's where it gets extreme. Every soldier had a quota, 300 to 400 people. Quota not achieved, and you're treated like an enemy. If you hit the quota, then you're average at best. That quota does not compare to Subutai. Best advantage was unorthodox styles. Not only in the importance in training, Subutai had more than 1,000 people by himself. Kutalun was far more devastating, nasty, evil than Genghis Khan, and was the gasoline to his fire. Because when he wanted to stop was enough. The rare occasions to show mercy, she wouldn't allow it. Tribe right now, not in 1500s, right now, in Papua that still eats people. They believe in Kakua, demon witches hiding human bodies. When somebody dies and or harvest fails, shaman points at someone, often a rival, and says, "That's the witch." A hunting party then grabs him, ties them up, tortures a confession, and eats him, starting with the head, to remove the demons. Journalists filmed fresh human remains in 2012. Indonesian officials confirmed a ritual killing in 2018. Anthropologists estimated dozens of these killings a year. So why is it happening? Because the area is almost unreachable jungle. Policing it would cost millions. International bodies hide behind indigenous rights. Translation: if you live far enough away, ritual murder becomes protected culture. It's not only them. Researchers also say stuff still happens in parts of Papua, the Amazon, Central Africa, but they're in protected zones. Nobody counts bodies. The scary part isn't do cannibals exist? It's how many are we ignoring because stopping them is inconvenient. Human sacrifices, that's what they taught you in school about the Aztecs. What they didn't teach you, it was industrial. Between about 1440 and 1521, records and archaeologists suggest that hundreds of thousands of people were sacrificed. Not a few, but it was constant. At the 1487 Great Temple event alone, it recorded that tens of thousands of people died in just 4 days. Millions of captives. Priests working in shifts, bodies rolling down the steps, turning them red, gold racks stacked like trophies. How did they get that many people? Flower wars. Wars not for land, but for humans. Captives were fed well and laid on stone. 4 men held the limbs, obsidian blade in, and that part of you that beats gets pulled out. All for the sun. Oftentimes the bodies were eaten as well, typically by the nobles, as sacred meat. Why didn't anyone stop it? Because you don't understand. They thought if it stopped, the sun never comes up again. So, huge thanks. Enter Hernan Cortés. As a last resort, not get killed by the King of Spain because Hernan didn't follow orders, set sail, hit Mexico with the help of Tlaxcalans. And Spain, thousands of troops marched to Tenochtitlan. A multitude of other tribes, because funny enough, while they were out here sacrificing people, at the same time caused a lot of trouble around the people around them, because they're bullies, suppressed them. So when the opportunity presented itself with Hernan Cortés, they took it and defeated the Aztecs, as well as Hernan Cortés got a promotion by King Charles I. He took the credit. Shakespeare was the face, but the mind. That was Francis Bacon, lawyer, philosopher, intelligent guy. Figured out the only safe place to tell the truth in Elizabeth's England was on stage. You could have written a pamphlet saying, the crown is a little shaky, that's treason. But you could stage a tragedy where a king loses the throne and everybody claps. So Bacon feeds Shakespeare's plays about illegitimate rulers. Hamlet, throne built on murder. Richard II, where nobles legally remove a king. Macbeth, manipulated secessions. King Lear, monarchy collapsed because of pride. Over and over, the audience watches power fail. That's not random, that's narrative conditioning. Now the weird part, Shakespeare's will lists no books. Guy inventing 1,700 words with nothing to write them from. Meanwhile, Bacon had a massive library and ciphers, spoke 6 different languages. Easiest explanation? Shakespeare was the delivery system. Bacon was the operation. The real question was never, did Shakespeare write Shakespeare? It's did Francis Bacon use theater to soften England for change in power? And we applauded while it happened.